Welcome back to the All Things Everything podcast. My name is Alonzo. Oh, I didn't say presented by Gulf Coast Smoke, but presented by Gulf Coast Smoke. My name is Alonzo.
And I'm Sabrina.
And this is episode 7. Wow. 7 weeks.
Yeah.
Does it feel like that to you?
Man, I was typing out our notes and I was like, man, which episode is this? I had to go and look it up because it just feels like so many already.
It does feel like so many, but I think that's in a good way, so many.
Yeah.
I think it's been fun.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I've had a blast. I mean, it's been a great change of pace for us to create content and talk to each other, which has been awesome. And then, of course, we've been getting some incredible guests. Wow. Squeak. Did you hear that?
No, I didn't. But
oh, that was weird. Anyway, we've been getting some incredible guests. Chicken Fried Barbecue. My Pits Are Burning. And today we have Swine Life BBQ, Mark Williams. Just an awesome guest. An awesome dude.
For sure.
A great friend. I consider him a friend now. Mm-hmm. I talk to him pretty periodically. He's helped me a lot when it comes to competition barbecue. A lot of these guys have helped me a lot when it comes to competition barbecue, which I'm grateful for. Speaking of competition barbecue, last weekend, we got a GC. We got our first ever GC in Needville, Texas, and it was amazing.
Yeah. But
we didn't get to film it. But what happened this weekend?
Well, I brought well, no, I still forgot. I forgot the little mount for the other tripod. But luckily, I knew it in my head, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to bring another tripod just in case. But we were able to film it, except I did somehow, I guess, forget to press record on our brisket boxing, so we didn't have the money shot there. But we still got it recorded on other angles, but just not the best angle. But, we got the whole thing recorded, which actually everyone's already seen it by now.
Yeah, everyone's seen it.
Earlier this week.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I thought I thought everything was good that we were putting out. I mean, chicken.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say about chicken. Chicken is just our weakest link. Yeah.
But we were able to get a back-to-back GC.
Yeah.
So we did get a grand champion this week again. Last week. We're super grateful. We are obviously very excited about it. I didn't tell anybody this. I told you this. I was very nervous for this event. And the reason I was very nervous was because we did come off of a GC. And I felt like people were kind of eyeing us. What are they going to do after they get that GC? Are they going to bomb or are they going to do good? Who are they? And I feel like this is kind of where you prove yourself. But it's only going to continue. Because we got another GC, and I think people are like, okay, these guys can cook. We'll see what happens next event. Obviously, our goal is to go out there and have fun every single time we go out there, enjoy time with our friends and family, which we do. And the last few events have been so amazing. We're cooking Friday night. We're eating great food. Sometimes it's a little burnt. We don't care.
Yeah.
It's just a good vibe.
There's no sides. We're just eating straight
meat
and poppers.
Poppers, mustard, barbecue sauce, whatever. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
It's been awesome. It's been a lot of fun, and I want to continue doing that because I think that is just something that allows us to continue having fun and remember why we're out there. So we got the back-to-back GC. Felt really good. We ended up getting 15th place chicken. 3rd place ribs. Pretty good. 3rd place pork. Pretty good. And a 1st place brisket. And did I know we were going to get 1st place brisket? Not when we boxed it, but when they were calling out awards, I had that feeling. I had that feeling that it was us because a lot of great brisket cooks were getting called out before us. And then my buddy Reenie and my buddy Raul, they were right there and they're like, dude, you just won the event with a 1st place brisket. Shout out to Reenie. Just an amazing cook, an amazing dude. He went out to Aransas Pass. I bit his chicken. And I instantly, you know it, I'm not lying. I told you, I was like, dude, Reenie's chicken was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what that's what competition barbecue chicken should be, what Reenie put out. He got a 2nd place bird. He came down. He wanted a skull. He got 2. Congrats to Reenie. Mm-hmm. Great friend. Great cook. That dude doesn't even cook that much anymore. He still goes out there and does great.
Yeah, he just RGC'd
RGC'd last week, and that's because he didn't cook for like 8 weeks or something.
Yeah.
And then this week he gets 5th, right? He got 5th?
I think so, yeah.
And just a great cook. So shout out Reenie. He set up right next to us. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed hanging out with him this weekend, dude. It's just, I like that guy a lot. I really like Reenie. I like his wife, Marissa, a lot. The daughter, Avery, she looks exactly like I was like, oh, man, that's amazing. But anyway, so we got that first place brisket call. Felt really good. I do not really show emotion at the contests. Even when we get like a first place this or a first place that, I don't like. We chased guns in Wharton and we got the first place rib. And if you go back and watch that footage, like I just stood up and walked up there and grabbed it. Of course, I was excited on the inside, but I did not show emotion. When we hit that first place brisket, I was like, let's effing go, you know, like I was like screaming, you know. And
well, I think it's also because we had a real cool group of people surrounding us.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the same with our last GC. We had a really cool group of guys surrounding us, you know, who were hyping us up. And I think that's one of the best parts about going to awards and going to the competition in general.
Yeah, so Travis was there, Chance was there, Danielle was there, some of my best friends. I really, really, really want to win one with Luke there. I want to win one with Sid there. I want to win one with Oscar there. And, you know, I have a lot of really great friends, but those guys plus Shadoozle have just been so supportive and such great friends for a long time. I would love to win an event with those guys there. That would mean so much to me. It meant a lot to me to win with those guys there because they missed our first GC. They go to a lot of contests with us. Mm-hmm. You guys might not know that. They hang out. They play with the kids. They taste food. You know, they'll drink some cold ones, whatever. But it felt really good to win with them there, and I was extremely happy. Go back and watch that video if you guys want. It's on the channel already, or it should be. And, yeah, it feels crazy. We wanted one so bad, and then we got two back-to-back. So we'll see what we can do the rest of the season. We have mixed emotions. We want to obviously keep competing a lot, but we also understand that we want to make some really good YouTube content. We want to start focusing a little bit more on recipes. So we'll see what happens. Whatever happens is just whatever we feel in our hearts, and that's what we'll continue to do. So now we're going to go ahead and roll right into our interview with Mark. I think it turned out great. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. So let's get right into it. So if you guys have been living under a rock, you may not know who this man is, but I do want you to go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell everybody your name, your team name. Man, where are you from?
Man, my name is Mark Williams. I'm Swine Life BBQ. Me and my brother both make up what Swine Life is, and from Hernando, Mississippi. So we're a couple miles from you, but not too far.
Yeah, a couple miles. We've made that trip before. I think it was last March whenever you guys had the shop-iversary. And it took us a little over 12 hours. It wasn't too bad, I'll tell you what. But the wife and I, we love cruising, man. We like driving. Yeah. We could have flown, but we're like, man, we might as well see what's going on. And we like having the truck just in case we want to go anywhere and all that stuff, you know. But honestly, dude, I don't know what it is, but we loved Hernando.
Oh, yeah, I loved it a lot.
We were like, dude, we got to go back. That little park, we took the kids to the park. We were there for a few hours, and we loved the little sandwich shop that you recommended and everything, man. It's just a cool little town.
And I like my little town. I hate that it's growing as big as it has, but it's I've been here my whole life, so it's home, and we're pretty lucky to have as nice a town as we do, and it's a lot to do. It's very, very family oriented, like you said, and so it's a pretty good gig. I can't complain.
Yeah. So that's crazy. You say that you've been there your whole life. Has Malcom also been there his whole life? Like, have you guys known each other for a really long time?
So Malcom originally grew up, or I guess was born, I think, he lived in West Memphis for a while. Mm-hmm. And then when I met him, they lived in South Haven, which is like 10 miles north. Okay. So we met in like 2013, I guess. Mm-hmm. And we took his barbecue class and kind of hit it off and become friends, and the relationship grew from there. And now I work for him full time. So it's definitely, I never would have thought 10 years ago I'd be working for Malcom Reed, but here we are.
That's a really cool dynamic. We've talked about that before. Just how awesome it must be for him to have you. I mean, because man, on your own, you're a really strong brand. You're a great cook. You have great products, and then you join him and you help make him even stronger. And from the outside looking in, I think that's like just really, really awesome to see. I'm not sure the word that I would use for that, but I think it's just a testament to both of you guys kind of maybe understanding what you want and just kind of teaming up together to reach that goal. And you and I have talked about it on a personal level before, and I think you know that, man, together you guys can kind of dominate even harder.
Well, I tell you, we at How to Bark Right, we have a really, really good team, and we've got some good people in place, and it kind of goes back to like the core group is, you know, we've all known each other beforehand, so we're all part of the business, and we all know kind of each other's jobs, and we're able to make it grow as a whole. And it's never been it's never been a moment to where if something comes up that the whole team's not willing to jump on board and say, hey, let's do it, you know, and that's what it takes. And that's the atmosphere you have to have in a workplace to make a business like this grow. And, you know, everybody's willing to jump out there and, you know, give it their all to make the business better. So we're lucky to have that. And I mean, I'm in his podcast room right now, you know, so it's pretty awesome.
That's awesome, man. I do want to get into a few things. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about you. Obviously, I know personally you're a great barbecue competitor. You also make YouTube videos. You have a great line of products. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about first is Swine Life BBQ. When I think of Swine Life BBQ, I think of two things right off the bat. I think of that prime beef, which is just a great, great, great seasoning. And then I also think about your YouTube videos. Talk a little bit more about that. I mean, I've been seeing personally a little bit of a hiatus on the Swine Life BBQ channel.
Yeah.
Is there plans to come back? What's going on?
There is. I mean, it's always in the back of my mind. A lot of things have changed since we started the YouTube channel. And when we started the YouTube channel, it was kind of really nobody knew who we were. And we had products, and the only way you can promote those products is get it in front of people's faces.
Right.
And at the time, I was working for Caterpillar. So I was at the time was a mechanic. I built the engine for Caterpillar and then rolled into a supervisor job. So I didn't have, you know, that much time to do, similar to y'all. You know, you work a full-time job and then you try to squeeze in as much content as you can. And it's hard. But I found it was way easier to do barbecue content and to be involved in the brand more when I didn't do it all day. And it's kind of like now, like I'm around this all day, every day. And, you know, it's hard to say, hey, let's go home and film a video when I'm around it 5 days a week, you know? And that's what I struggle with. It's kind of like most everybody says a mechanic will never work on their own car. It's kind of the same way, you know? Yeah. So I'm able to be around it and be a part of it and, you know, do a lot of filming with Malcom. And, you know, we do a lot of content for other brands that I'm a part of. So that does make it difficult for me to set aside time and not take up, you know, family time with my wife and not take away from barbecue contests and not take away from my other hobbies that I enjoy. That's kind of my break from work. So if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense to me. Trust me. From our point of view, I mean, you kind of nailed it. It's very hard. I mean, I don't even know how else to say it. It's very hard for us, but I think that Sabrina and I truly believe that, I mean, we're going to make it, man. We both truly believe that. So the hard work, the extra effort that we put in, we hope that it's not in vain because we do give up a lot, but we'll see one day.
And so you just competed in a contest last weekend. But how often do you typically try to compete? I'm assuming you competed more back in the day. You're busy right now.
Right.
But how often do you try to compete?
So I guess the little backstory, our busiest year was probably from busiest years, let me rephrase that, was from 15 to 17, 18. We would average 20 to 30 contests a year. And, you know, we cooked a lot. And it was fun. You know, we were competitive, but I'm not going to say we were at the level we are now. As far as when we show up at a contest, we're pretty confident, you know, not that we're going to win, but we're not going to beat ourselves. So right now, I mean, we kind of base our contests on, you know, places we want to go. You know, there's certain contests I'm never going to miss. I'm never going to miss Galax. I'm not going to miss Praise the Lord. We got a couple here locally that are just excellent contests. So we try to do, I'd like to do 10 to 15 a year. And this year's been crazy because we've really chased points and really cooked a lot of MBN. And I didn't expect to be where we are now. So it's kind of one of them things like we wasn't planning on doing this, but we're already 3/4 of the way done. So we're fixing to finish it out and see what happens.
So you mentioned MBN. I live in South Texas, and we have CBA, IBCA, we have Lone Star, and then we have Outlaw. So we have a few different sanctioning bodies. But for those of the people that don't know what MBN is, what is that? What proteins are you cooking? And how do you feel like it's different from, say, a KCBS?
So MBN is Memphis Barbecue Network. It was originated in Memphis, of course, and it's strictly a pork contest. There's 3 main categories in the pro division. You have ribs, shoulder, or hog. And they do have a patio division. I think it's ribs, shoulder, or loin, I believe, is their category for patio. Mm-hmm. But it was kind of one of the first barbecue networks to make it to the South, years ago. And I may be incorrect on this, but it's kind of back when Memphis and May was big, they all kind of tied hand in hand, like brother and sister type deal. And then they split up, and Memphis and May is kind of the same, but it's actually called Memphis and May. It's a different scoring system, a different, I guess, sanctioning body. Mm-hmm. So it's strictly a pork contest. They do ancillaries and stuff like that, but the easiest way to explain how an MBN contest is kind of like a KCBS was 20 years ago. It's local guys that are showing up for bragging rights that cook 1 or 2 a year, and they got a shot. It's one of them things that goes into blind. You turn in 6 portions, similar to you do KCBS. It's no garnish. You're allowed to turn in sauce in a separate cup. And then once it goes to blind, they take the top 3 from each category, and then you move on to finals. And that's when the judges come to you. You do an on-site presentation, and you got a minimum of 10 minutes, a maximum of 15 you spend with those judges. And it's your chance to sell the product. You got to let the product speak for itself, but also you got to be able to, it's a dog and pony show. So you got to be able to sell the product and make that product better than what it might really be is, So mm-hmm. It's nerve-wracking, but it's a blast at the same time.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
I'm sure you would be good at that.
I love talking to people, so I would love to do that. But it's just crazy, and it's so cool how different it is compared to what we do down here. The fact that you said that you could put sauce in a cup on the side, like that's awesome to me. Because, right. Man, I mean, it's just like when you think of barbecue up that way, I mean, I think of like a nice tangy barbecue sauce. Like, dude, honestly, my probably all-time favorite sauce is literally the vinegar sauce that you guys make. You can ask my wife, I tear it up, dude. Like, I love that stuff. And I've gotten so many of my friends around here hooked on it. And I just, whenever I think of that area, I think of a good tangy barbecue sauce. So I think that that's really cool, man. Just something completely different than we probably will ever see down here.
Yeah, Texas is there. People are just pretty against sauce most of the time.
Yeah. We get a lot of comments. Your brisket, you suck.
Yeah.
I can't believe that there's not sauce on your ribs. You don't know what you're doing. I'm like, bro, I just hit first place and won a pretty good amount of money with those ribs, bro.
Say the meatloaf to the front. The meatloaf wins. Just don't worry about it.
I couldn't tell you how many comments I've gotten on my brisket box. Like, dude, that looks like meatloaf. It looks like trash. I'm like, bro, I haven't hit outside of like top 10 in brisket in I don't know how long. So I don't know why you're mad at me, bro. I'm just trying to win the game. That's all I'm trying to do.
Whole hog that's not something that we're familiar with down here.
So yeah, whole hog it's tricky. It's not tricky to cook. I mean, it just takes time. We do cook a little bit faster than most people do, but the hardest thing that we struggle with is with hog, you have to turn in shoulder, loin, and ham. And they all have to be cooked perfectly. So, you're taking a shoulder to 195, a ham to 185, and we personally try to get that loin no hotter than 145. You're trying to get a loin just like you would cook on the grill. You want it tender, but it can't go to 160, 170. So it's a little trickery going on to, it'll dry out really quick.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And then, there's some trickery that goes on to make sure that, we're not overcooking that loin. But then you start, building a box. With the brisket, you're putting brisket in the box. A rib, you're putting a rib in a box. Well, you have a 130-pound hog, and you got all this to pull from. And it's up to you to make sure you pull the right stuff and get the box built correctly. So it takes me 30 minutes to build a hog box. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, that is crazy because we basically give ourselves 5 minutes to build a box before we take off to the judge tent. I mean, that's basically like our little timeline. 30 minutes is insane, but you're right. I mean, you got such a large, you got a huge hog. and you're trying to pick the absolute best parts of it, man, that's got to be, I mean, that in its own has to be a separate skill that it takes to win those contests.
We're just now getting to the point to where I feel comfortable building a box. I mean, we've always built good boxes, but there's so much room for error. You know, all it takes is one judge to get that one bright that the texture's a smidge off, and you're done. You know, if you get a 9, you're done. So you just about have to 10 out and, you know, in blind if you're going to make it to finals.
Speaking of whole hog, you competed in the Praise the Lord Murfreesboro Barbecue Cook-Off this past weekend, which was an MBN and a KCBS?
Yes, ma'am.
And so how did you do?
We had a good cook. We had a good weekend. We left our house on Thursday morning. A lot of these, that's another thing, is these MBN, these MBN cooks are like, these guys will set up whole booths just like at Memphis and May and have like fencing out. So when these teams come in and set up, they're usually setting up on Thursday. And, you know, usually got to get there either early Friday morning or late Thursday evening, because 9 o'clock they're checking your hogs, because some of these guys are putting hogs on at 10 o'clock Friday morning for Saturday's turn in. So you're thinking about a 24 hour, you know, cook. So it's a little different in that aspect. So we got there on Thursday. We met some good buddies of ours, Jay Craig, who builds our pits we cook on Outlaw Smokers, his son, a couple of real good close buddies of ours. And, you know, we just kind of hang out on Thursday and Friday because we're cooking a little bit hot and fast. So we're not really rushing to put that hog on, and put the hog on about 9 o'clock Friday night and just stayed up and enjoyed it. You know, cooked hog. We got a little bit of shut-eye. Hog come out. It was a very, very good hog. I was pleased with the blind box. I was very happy with the loin and ham. Like, I would definitely say that's our strongest part of that hog, or the loin and ham. Got it turned in, and then 2 hours later, you got rib turned in, which we put ribs on about 5 that morning, and just trying to get ahead of everything because we had the MBN and we had all the KCBS entries. So it got pretty hectic come 12 o'clock on Saturday. And of course, KCBS timeline, y'all know how that goes. And everything, I was happy. I was not disappointed in anything we did. And we were lucky enough to make finals in hog and rib, and we took first place in both. So, and we actually won the contest with the rib. So that was crazy. And that's another thing, is like, you don't have to cook all 3 categories to grand. A rib can beat a hog for grand. A shoulder can beat a rib. A hog can beat, it only takes one protein can win that whole entire contest. And we won it with rib.
Yeah. Well, man, congrats. That's pretty crazy. So to do both of them at the same time, that's gotta be pretty difficult, dude. I mean, I couldn't even imagine.
So it depends on what duel you go to. Like this one, they kind of adjust the MBN times a little bit to where it gives you a little bit of cushion. They kind of move them up like 30 minutes.
Yep.
But like Galax, KCBS chicken and MBN rib is the exact same turn-in time. So you have to get them both in at 2 separate turn-in windows at the same time.
That's
so
crazy.
It's nuts.
Yeah, and that's the one where you won that banjo, right?
Yes, that's a good one. Go to that contest.
I remember watching the video. Someone was taking it behind you, and I remember I'm like, dude, did Mark break his leg or something? And you were standing there, and they called out the awards, and you went and got your banjo. But dude, that is crazy. Again, we don't see anything like that here in Texas. I'm not gonna say that seems so much harder, because I don't want to disrespect my Texas boys down here, man. But I mean, man, that seems like it would be pretty difficult to do, because for KCBS, for us personally, when we started boxing, we did not stop until we were done. We literally did not stop. We were doing something the whole time. I could not imagine having another turn in right on top of that chicken as well.
It all boils down to simplifying your cook. That's one thing that I consider myself very good at is, you know, I've seen guys that have great recipes that win every week, but their recipe is very intense. You know, it's a lot going on. And I try to build recipes out that I use to where you can do it by yourself. Mm-hmm. You can do it efficiently by yourself. And I set my timeline up to where if something ever was to happen, that we have a cushion there, and we try to be ahead of it. Well, I try to plan on mistakes, because mistakes are going to happen. You know, something's going to go awry. You know, who knows what the weather could turn. That's all out of your control. So I try to simplify as much as I can. And Jay Craig, when I started cooking him, he's like, why haven't I've been doing this, for years? Because like watching me cook, when kind of what he come from, he's like, this is the simplest cook I've ever been a part of. And that's something I take a lot of pride in, is trying to just simplify as much as I can to where if something does go wrong, you got time to fix it. So,
yeah. And I can attest to that pretty well coming from your side, because I have talked to you about competition a lot. And one of the things when I first started talking to you about it a lot that really super impressed me was the way that you go about picking flavors for your proteins. I'm not going to go too much into it because obviously that's your thing, right? But I was sitting on the phone and I'm like, dude, I believe I even asked you, like, dude, where do you come up with these things in your head? And you told me basically, like, man, you just, like, you have to think about things that pair well together. Not only flavors, but techniques and cook times and when you start and when you're finishing and all that stuff. And it really does, it takes it to another level. You don't realize when you first start competing that people are thinking this much with their brain. Like, sometimes you're like, you're just going to cook barbecue. Well, yes, but no. I mean, it's there. You are, but there's a lot to it, man. I mean, and like I said, the couple of times I talked to you in the beginning, I was pretty much like mind blown. I was like, wow, I feel stupid because I never even thought of one of those things, But I mean, that just goes to show you're a seasoned competitor. And no wonder you've done so good. It's just, I'll tell you this much. Us Texas boys down here, we all know who you are. Everybody talks about you. Everybody knows that if you come and show up to a contest, it's no walk in the park. So, I mean, you got attention down here as well, man.
Well, that's one of my things is like, we don't cook as much as we used to, but I want to do it. That's another reason to simplify stuff, is that you can duplicate those recipes, even though you might not use that recipe but 4 or 5 times a year. Mm-hmm. But it's the same recipe, and I'm not one to change. Me and Jay Craig get into arguments weekly about this, because we'll be talking and he'd be like, man, what if we try this chicken injection? I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm not. We're just going to, I'm going to do what I do, and if it works, it works. And if it don't, it don't. Now, if I get my teeth kicked in back to back for something, yeah, we're going to start tweaking something, but I'm not going to change anything very far out of the box, at all. We may tweak a little bit here and there, but we're not stepping outside that box. And I think that's one of the things we were talking this weekend. And, we got to thinking about like some of these good cooks out there, how you see them do really, really well. And over time you see them phase out, and they're like, why does that happen? Well, this is strictly my theory on this, but, you say you're cooking ribs and use, your 2 rubs, or, use your base rub and your hot rub, and that's all you use on ribs. Well, you win, you get a 180. And say next weekend you do it. Well, in your mind, you don't realize, but you might say, well, I put the base on here and it done really good. I'm going to put just a little bit more. And then next week, I'm going to put a little bit more. And then you keep doing that, and that snowballs. 6 contests later, them ribs are so salty that they start bombing. Mm-hmm. But you don't realize it, because in your mind, you think you're doing the same recipe and you're not.
That's a good way to look at it. And also this, just to kind of go back to the way that you think and how, in my opinion, like how strong you are as a competitor. So I posted my brisket the other day, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like there was a huge gash in it. And you called me and you're like, dude, who cares? Fix it and win. Just fix it and win. Like, why are you overthinking this, dude? And I'm like, Mark, dude, it's a thin brisket, dude. It doesn't look good in here. Like, who cares? Fix it and win. Inject it. It's going to pump up. You cook on a drum. It's going to plump up. Like, what? Why are you overthinking this? Just cook it and win. And we ended up hitting a first place brisket, man. And it's like, it's
and what'd you do? So
it's hilarious. It's because in my head, as somebody who I still consider myself very, very, very new to this, I'm like, you can even ask my wife. I'm like, dude, there's no way. Like, we had literally told ourselves this brisket is unusable because the gash is, inch and a half in there.
It looked pretty deep, but
it was, it was deep. And so I'm like carving it out. I'm like, dude, this brisket is so thin, I can't use it. But again, somebody like you was like, dude, fix it and win. Like, stop talking about it. Just fix it and win. And I thought it was so funny because after we got off the phone, I'm like, all right, well, and I you can even ask my wife. I went and grabbed the brisket and I'm like, all right, let's take a look at this again. Mark told me this is fine. And Mark told me this is fine. So, and then I fix it up and I'm like, all right, let's do this, right? again, we almost had a perfect score. We were pretty close. I think we had like a 198 point something and a perfect scores at 200. And, we had a great cook. Everything turned out really good. It's just funny. So again, that kind of goes to show, like, somebody like you that's been doing it, you understand that, like you said, there's highs and lows. Things might change, weather, all that stuff. But, man, you just stay true to what you're doing. And, I mean, you get results.
And I think, too, like, you can't panic in the moment. I was guilty of that is, if something goes wrong, I would get fighting mad. Like, we'd be building boxes and I'd take a bite of chicken. I'm like, this is garbage. And I'm like, I'm pissed, and, there's no need in that because, like, I know a prime example. We were in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and we were getting ready to turn pork in, and I tried a different injection. This was back in like probably 2015. And I tried a different injection because I thought it was going to be the game changer. And when I cut my money muscles, it had looked like you cured it. It was purple from end to end. Like there was no meat color. The whole thing was a smoke ring. And I was like, crap. And they tasted terrible first place. And I'm like, what? Like, it don't even matter, So it's very frustrating when that happens too, because that wasn't a good product.
Right.
Yeah.
But it just happened to hit the right table.
Yeah. And that happens to us so much.
We've had some ribs that were absolutely, awful. And what did they get? Did they get first that time, or second or third?
They got third.
They got third. Yeah.
Yeah, we literally
were shocked.
We had a rack of ribs. I promise you, Mark, you would have tasted them and you'd be like, dude, you can't barbecue. You need to quit your YouTube channel. You need to quit everything you're doing, bro. I care for you as a person, but you got to quit. And they ended up hitting third place. And I literally was cracking up walking to grab that award and that check. I couldn't. It was the funniest thing ever. But like you said, it just doesn't matter. I mean, it hit the right table, man. It doesn't matter.
That's right. And I tell a lot of people this is what the judges try, you never get to try. So don't get down in the dumps. Don't get, you're only trying what you can try. What's in that box? Neither one of y'all have ever tasted. Mm-hmm. And you never will. So don't fret over it.
Because you turned it in, so how could you, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I kind of want to take a turn here, and I want to talk about something that you mentioned a little bit earlier. So you mentioned that you're making content for different brands that you're involved in. One of them that I know about and that I follow is Buck Junkies. And I'm not going to really talk about what that is because I want to hear from your point of view, what is Buck Junkies? How long have you guys been doing it? And it's fair to say that that's really why you're kind of slowed down on the cooking. You're doing a lot of stuff on Buck Junkies?
Correct. So Buck Junkies is exactly what it sounds like. It's a bunch of guys that are deer hunting junkies. It kind of started out as a joke because, again, like we've all become close. So a little backstory, me and Malcom, my brother actually started working for Malcom in 2017. We've all been close. And then I got on board in 2020, and it was me and my brother and Malcom, and we all hunted together. And my brother-in-law, he started working with us, and we all kind of grew. We were all passionate about hunting, so we all hunted together, and we hunted together for several years. And it was kind of like, what are we doing? Like, we have, we're able to film videos and make content. Why aren't we capitalizing on this and showing people what just a simple deer camp that we grew up loving, what it's like? We're not trying to overproduce these hunting videos. We're not trying to show the whole outdoor channel thing. There's a ton of great content out there, but we're trying to show what your average Joe, Southern guy, whoever that does deer hunting, what it's like for us. And we started a podcast, and it first was just a podcast, and it kind of gained a little traction, and we started a TikTok, and then we started a YouTube channel, and one thing led to another. Now we're doing content every week. So we're usually down at hunting camp 2 to 3 days a week, every week, on top of doing our normal stuff with How to Barbecue Right. So it might be content from, how to hang a deer stand or planting food plots or getting a dove field ready, but it's simple stuff that a lot of people don't think about. And it kind of shows just what we do. I mean, it's a small farm. I think we got 400 acres, and it's nothing crazy. We're just trying to show people like what deer hunting's about, and kind of the whole camaraderie and the fellowship is involved with it. Not just, hey, let's go shoot a monster deer. We don't care. I mean, we're just there to have a good time and kind of show our cooking background and tie it all together to where it's something that we can offer on a different platform and a whole nother brand.
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, you guys do so much that I have no idea about. And I'm just being honest. I didn't grow up hunting. My dad likes to hunt and fish, but I really didn't kind of get into that too much with him. I grew up playing sports. I played football, baseball, all that stuff. So, and my dad did shift work. So sometimes, he'd be on his 4 off and I'm still at school and maybe he'd go fishing or whatever. So a lot of the stuff you guys do, I sit there and I'm like, I would just love to be there with these guys and like see what they're doing because this is really cool. And then of course being outdoors, and it just looks like a beautiful space out there that you guys have. If nobody's watched that content, I think that you really should, because it does show a completely different side to all of you guys that people might not know, but they might even connect with even more than they do on your barbecue content.
Right. Because, we're all cooks. We all cook together. I would consider we're all very talented at cooking and doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there's not a single guy that doesn't fish, hunt. It don't matter what it is. They all cook. So why not bring the two, spectrums together to where let's make this work,
On the barbecue side and for Buck Junkies, you work alongside Malcom Reed. What is that like?
It's an entertaining job. I got to tread lightly here because he does write my checks, so I can't say too much. But no, we've been close, and we've always been, good friends. We've done a lot together in the past, and when the opportunity come up, I worked at Caterpillar. I've been there for 16 years. Like I had a pretty gig, but it was one of the things like this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and it was either sink or swim, and it was very nerve wracking to leave a comfortable job and a guaranteed paycheck every Friday to go something to where you, like right now, like I'm his wholesale. Me and my brother handle all his wholesale. So, we sell more wholesale. It's better for the business. So it's one of them things like it's in my hands to, make sure the company's profitable. So it is a little nerve wracking on that aspect. But Malcom and Shell, I know y'all have heard this before, and I've probably said it before, but they are as cool and as good of people as they portray online and in their podcast. It's unreal. They've been lifesavers to me and my brother and my family and everybody else, and I can't thank them enough. So it's an awesome job. They make sure to take care of their employees, and I don't have a worry in the world. I show up, we have a good time at work. They get stressful at times. It's a business, so we got to take care of each other. But it's a dream come true, and it's something that 10 years ago, if you'd have told me I'd have been doing this, I'd have laughed. I'm like, there's no way. And I'm very blessed and very lucky to be where I'm at.
I think the dynamic that we've seen from How to Barbecue Right, from Swine Life, from all of you, it's something that we always talk about because it's just us pretty much for our business. So we always talk about, what is that like to have to put your trust in other people? Because it's going to get to that point where we can't do everything. So I think we always enjoy looking at y'all's dynamic as inspiration for us, that hopefully we can get to a point like that.
If you look back on the Yellow Kitchen days for Malcom, it was Malcom and Shell. Mm-hmm. And they have created a empire that is just amazing. And, they started out just like y'all did. And it was one of the things, I don't know if y'all ever heard Malcolm's story about what they come from and how they started, but he's talked about that on several podcasts, how he got started. And, if that doesn't get you fired up to want to chase a dream, then you need to check your pulse, because they'll push you to make you want to chase your dream.
No, yeah. I've, from me personally, kind of to reiterate what you said, number one, I'm actually an ambassador for How to Barbecue Right, which has, truthfully, it's been incredible. Like you said, they take care of y'all. Dude, they take care of us. Like, to the point to where I'm like, how and why are they doing this? Right? And I'm being as genuine as I can. They've done some things for us, and I've even told my wife, like what is going on? Like, why are they doing this? Like, we obviously try and make good content and promote their brand and stuff like that, but they are overly, in my opinion, sometimes, like, and in the best way possible, they're like overly generous to us. And you can feel the appreciation that comes from them just from us making videos once, twice a week. And it's crazy because I've met Malcom and I've met Shell. Not for the longest time. I didn't hang out with them for very long, but I walked into the shop and, you met me up front, took me to the back, and man, they're just like, as if they knew me. They're like, hey man, what's going on, dude? Like, take a look around. Yeah. It just like, it's not like they were, oh man, like I don't know who you are. You need to get out of here. No, like literally It was like, hey man, come on back. Check out everything. And this is what we got going on here. This is what we got going on there. And it was just really cool from my point of view to see that because, they always say don't meet your idols, man. I don't know. I kind of disagree when it comes to Malcom Reed. To me, that dude is the GOAT, dude. Like, I'm not just trying to say it. I've told you this on a personal level. That dude is the GOAT. If it was not for him, I literally would not be sitting here right now. I watched his content when I first wanted to make good ribs. And I've said this before, that video he made, dude, today we're talking spare ribs. That's like, I watched that video about 1,500 times to make the best ribs ever. And, and then, of course, from him, found out who you were. Started watching the Swine Life stuff. And it's like, man, these guys are incredible. Like my wife said, from us looking, it's like, man, you guys have such that dynamic. It's like, it's a dream for us, if we could find some people that we care about as much as they do you and you do them. I mean, I think we can have a winning combo too, but it really is cool to see what you guys have done because you said it perfectly. It's an empire, dude. It is. Whenever I went over there and I saw the operation you guys had, I literally went back to the hotel and I told my wife, we cannot do this. It is impossible. It is impossible. You can ask her, dude. I was like borderline sad at the hotel. I was like, dude, these guys are on another level. They're in another stratosphere. What Mark does, what his brother does, what his brother-in-law does, like, there's legit offices. People are like running around. It's a legit office. And I was blown away.
It's crazy.
It is crazy, dude. It is a legitimate business. It's not just some YouTuber. It is a legitimate business that has been built. And I mean, obviously hats off to them, but man, you too, because years back we were selling products from different brands to have extra stuff in our store. We were trying to build that SEO, so we were trying to get people to come to our website.
You got to.
Yeah, we were trying to get people to come to our website so they can maybe find out about our products. And I was dealing with you years back for the wholesale stuff. So, and at that point, I didn't even really know you. So, yeah, you've been busting tail for a while. And, again, it's really cool to just kind of see where all you guys have come from and now where you are. So it gives us a lot of inspiration and a lot of hope because obviously we take this seriously. We truly think we can do this, like I said earlier. And, man, I'm the kind of person, if you can't tell by now, I'll tell you flat out, I ain't going to stop until I make it or the good Lord takes me. You know what I mean? It's just the way that it is,
It was the funny thing about this is the building that would you come to the original grand opening or the anniversary? The anniversary, wasn't it?
The anniversary this second year. It was when
the anniversary. It
was when you guys had the Traeger guys like right outside the front door.
Right. So the grand opening, we really didn't know what to expect. At the time, it was Malcom and Shell, me, my brother. My brother-in-law was actually over the store at the time, and I think we had one or two other employees. Like we were not nearly what we are now, and we didn't know what to expect. So, like we got the little building going, and we were excited, and we started kind of hyping it up and announcing it, and little did we know we shut our town down. Like this whole side of our town was just us. I would suspect 3,000 to 4,000 people. Estimated. We had no way to keep up with how many people come to the store, and literally blocks away from us was people parking, walking to come see the store. And man, that'll get you fired up right there. Like we were excited, we were blessed, and just people come from all over. I mean, we had people come from Canada to see a 900 square foot store in Hernando, Mississippi.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's crazy.
You had somebody drive from South Texas to do it too.
We did. I mean, and still appreciative of that.
But that's what you guys embody. That's what you guys attract that because again, it's like when I think of barbecue, you cannot not think of how to barbecue right. You just cannot not. I mean, what you guys have built is out of this world, man. And I mean, we hope to be a fraction of that. If we're a fraction of that, we have made it. You know.
I'll step on everybody's toes out there that I can. There is no reason Malcom Reed shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, hands down.
So her and I had this conversation. We've had this conversation before because we watched the podcast where Malcom and Rochelle were talking about it, and Malcom, dude, from the outside looking in, such a humble guy, but his wife was basically like, no, you changed the game. And he's like,
for real.
And he doesn't want to admit it, or he doesn't want to. I just think he doesn't want to sound like cocky. But she's telling him, like, Malcom, you changed the game. And I personally don't think that there's a Gulf Coast Smoke, a Chud's Barbecue, Mad Scientist Barbecue.
There's nothing.
No, without Malcom Reed, there is none of those guys. And that is not disrespect to those guys. All of those guys make great content. They've done amazing for themselves, right? So, but there's none of that without Malcom Reed throwing down them Labor Day ribs and showing people what it's all about and getting millions of views just chilling in his kitchen and then throwing it on a Yoder YS 480 or whatever it is that he had back in the day. And I'm telling you, dude, I know these things because you can ask her. Like, I would just sit there and watch Malcolm's videos, dude. And now it's like we're affiliated with him. We consider you a friend now. It's like life is crazy, man.
It's one of those things like, there was, I don't know, in 2010, I don't even know that I ever even got on YouTube. Like, it was so early in the YouTube age to really know what was going on.
Yep. And
I mean, there was barbecue forums and there was stuff out there, but most of those were people, no offense to nobody, but they were trying to push their thoughts on other people. It was like, this is the only way. You got to do 3, 2, 1 ribs. And, you'll never hear Malcom say, this is the only way. You have to use this rub. No, he's going to give you an idea. He's going to show you what rubs he uses, but you cook it how you want to. This is just getting you in the ballpark, get you close, get you a recipe that you can take home, feed your family, hang out with your guys at tailgate, whatever it takes. But it's a laid back. It's not, hey, this is the only way. This is just a good way. This will help you get started. And then you take it, make it your own,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I did want to talk about you specifically for a second and your products, which I think all of them are great. We love Grind a lot. Like, we love Grind. That citrusy note in there is like unlike anything we had tasted when we first started cooking. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you come back and prime beef. Dare to say, they're so different. I can't say it's better, but prime beef is just.
It's better. I'll say it.
But dude,
I'll say it. It's better.
The flavor, the umami you get out of that seasoning is incredible. And we talk about Malcom. That's great. But you yourself also have some very great products that, I mean, you've built that brand, you and your brother, and you're going out there, you're winning with your products all over the place. And man, besides those products, do you guys have any plans to do anything more?
So we're kind of on the fence right now. It's one of them things that kind of goes back to having the time to do it. We do so much for How to Barbecue Right, and that's our full-time job, and that's my main priority. I will push his product before I push my own because, that is my job. Mm-hmm. So it's one of them things like we're on the fence about which way we're fixing to fall. What are we going to do? We got 3 or 4 recipes in the works. I say in the works. We have them lined out to where if we want to do something, we got something available. Mm-hmm. We're contemplating a sauce, even though a sauce is kind of it's not as much profit on sauce. It's expensive to make, and the sauce is the hardest part. Dry rubs are easy. Sauces get crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's one of them things like, yes, we want to continue to grow, but at the same time, man, what could I ask for more with my job? Like, I'd rather definitely promote, How to Barbecue Right over our own product. As crazy as it sounds, but they've supported me from day one. When we started to make our first rub, we were making this rub in, I think, 16, 17. And, we got to the point to where what's next? And Malcom and Michelle both were like, put it on the market, see what happens. And so we did. We were scared to death. I mean, we put the first rub order in, and I think our minimums at our co-packer at the time was like 400 pounds maybe. And we set a pallet of rub in my garage, and like I almost broke down because I'm like, who's going to buy this? Like, who is going to buy this much product? Like, what are we going to do with this? Like, scared to death. And I mean, that at the time, that was a lot of money for us to fork out. You know, I mean, it was, you know, between getting labels and going through the recipe process. I mean, it's, if you don't have $5,000, just throw down the drain, don't start it, you know? Yeah. And I was terrified. And my wife was like, oh my God, like, what are we going to do? And I'm like, we're going to see what happens. And a couple of weeks later, guess what? We were putting our second order in, and I was like, people are actually going to buy it. Yeah. And it snowballed at that point. And I mean, I'm not saying like it's not a full-time business for us. It's more of a hobby, but it's amazing to, you know, get on Facebook and see somebody in Australia, you know, cooking with our products. And I'm like, they're on the other side of the world. And here they are using Mississippi ground. They probably don't know what Mississippi is. They don't even know where we're at, but they're using our product, you know?
Yeah.
And it's crazy. And just like this weekend, you know, prime beef, you were talking about it. That is one that there is no doubt in my mind that we hit that one out of the park. And it was an accident. And I'll be the first to tell you that recipe was not supposed to be what it was. We were trying to look for a hot and spicy version of our grit, and we stumbled upon what we come up with, because for some reason when we started adding the heat to the kind of our AP base, it started losing flavor. And I don't know if it was something to do with the peppers that was like overpowering the garlic and the salt and everything. I don't know the science behind it, but it just wasn't good. And I was like, we got to come up with something. Like, it's missing body, like it's missing a depth flavor. So I called my co-packer and I was like, send me everything that we can use in this product that will add flavor, like something different. And they sent me 50 bags of stuff, and we just started going through and mixing in my kitchen. Like, here we go. And once we hit it and I smelled it, and I was like, oh, this might be good. And this is going to sound crazy, but if you ever wonder, if you're fooling with a rub and you don't really know what it's going to be like cooking on it, and you don't know what it's going to do to a protein once you put it on it, take you a paper plate and lay a wet paper towel in it and sprinkle the rub on it and walk away, and come back in about 5 minutes, and don't eat the paper towel, but smell it. And it'll get all the spices rehydrated, and it gives you a good idea of what that's going to do once you cook with it. You see how the rub breaks down once it hits moisture. You see what's going to dissolve and what's not. And as soon as I'd done that, I seen all the prime beef basically dissolved to nothing, absorbed in that paper towel. And I was like, that might be awesome on beef. Mm-hmm. And we started cooking with it. And from then on, it was like, this is it. You know, we're going to run with it. And I didn't tell Malcom and Shell. I come up here one day, cooked some steaks, didn't say a word, just carried them up there and set them in the office. Said, hey, can y'all try these? And they both took a bite, and they were like, oh my God, like, what'd you put on this? And I was like, this right here. And here we are, you know, and it's my favorite rub we've ever come up with. And I will put my name on the line and say it's one of the best beef rubs on the world. Like, I got you. Come on, try it.
I was just going to say those exact words. It is one of the best beef rubs that I've ever tried. One of the best beef rubs on the market. And I was talking to somebody about this last week. As somebody, I'm gonna be honest, as somebody who makes seasonings ourselves, it's not always easy to admit that. But you also can't lie to yourself, and you also can't take anything away from people when they've got a great product. Prime beef is a great product, just a great product. So I agree with you, man. You nailed that one for sure. You hit it out of the park.
It's very unique. I haven't had anything else like it. And we've tried many seasonings.
There's nothing like it, dude. So we've even gone as far as like buying mushroom powder at the, you know what I mean, at the store, and like trying different concoctions to see. It doesn't work. It's not prime beef. I don't know what you did. I don't know but it does not work. Yeah, it's just a great seasoning. Obviously, if anyone that's listening wants to try them out, I'm going to put a link in the description for you guys to go to your website, or they can also get it at the How to Barbecue Right website as well. So,
right.
Yeah. But, man, I mean, you absolutely nailed it with your products. If you come out with something new, I'm sure the world's going to know about it. And so we'll be looking for that, or maybe we'll be looking for some more bunkies, some more Buck Junkie stuff. I saw you guys, you're starting to sell more, you know, like outdoor stuff in the shop too. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. we're trying to create like the ultimate man cave. You know, we're trying to have something to where we can offer to anybody in our neck of the woods to where, you know, anything we're passionate about, let's bring it in. We use these products and, you know, hey, come check them out.
And just so anybody listening who doesn't know, you have 3 products, correct? You have your prime beef, your Mississippi grind, which is more of a like classic barbecue rub, I would say. And then you have Mississippi grit, which is more of an AP rub.
Correct. And then we got one. I didn't really mention this earlier, and I probably should have. I got one in the trailer right now that we ran this weekend on hog and ribs, and they conveniently got first place. So I'm pretty excited about that too. So we'll see.
All you gotta do is throw a label on that thing. You know all the right people to get that done.
And we can get it done, but we'll see.
One question we ask everybody, which I know we talked about competition earlier, but what is your most important tool to take to a barbecue competition? Which this might be different for you because, I mean, you compete more of like the KCBS, MBN style. So I don't know if maybe there's any, or like with a whole hog, I wouldn't even know what the heck to bring for that. So what's your most important tool?
So the answer that everybody's going to give you is a thermal pin.
That's what we've gotten 2 times over.
And that's, I mean, that is it. But in all honesty, like I've got to the point to where there's 2 things that have to be at a contest. And one of them's Kerrygold butter. And the next one is your best friend, your brother, your wife, whoever, your teammates. You know, we're at the point now where competition barbecue is more about the socializing and meeting people. Like this weekend, we had so many people around us that was like cheering for us and, you know, was a part of the action. And that's what makes barbecue, in my opinion.
Kerrygold butter's a great answer because we use Kerrygold butter.
It is.
I thought he was going to say Blue Plate mayonnaise for a second.
Right?
No.
That's funny.
I'm a Dukes guy anyway. Just don't tell my boss.
Oh, dang. There you go. Hey, to me,
we don't have a preference.
I just think all mayonnaise is good. I'll eat any of them, man. I'm not gonna complain.
It is.
I'm not gonna complain, but you know, hey, I understand he's a Blue Plate guy, and I'll eat Blue Plate or I'll eat Dukes. It don't matter. If either of you guys make a sandwich or a burger or something, I'll eat it. I promise. I ain't gonna complain.
As long as it's not Miracle Whip, I'm on board.
Oh, yep. I'm there with you.
That's funny. I don't want to go into that conversation because you guys are making fun of me because I grew up eating Miracle Whip from my next door neighbor, and I don't mind it, but we won't get into that. So I do want to move on. There are a few questions from people that they wanted to ask you, and the first one comes from, oh my gosh, at MM. Yeah, we're not going to say that. What are your favorite woods to smoke with?
So before we started cooking on stick burner, I was strictly a pecan or cherry guy. Because we were cooking on old hickory pits or a backwoods at the time, and we mainly based our coal bed on charcoal. Now that I went to a stick burner, we're strictly hickory. I'll throw some fruit wood in there every now and then, but on a stick burner, you got to maintain that coal bed, and hickory or post oak or a very hard, dense wood is going to maintain that coal bed, whereas a fruit wood's not. So this weekend we ran 100% hickory. And it's easy for us to get in Mississippi. You know, I can get a pallet full already cut and split of hickory for $100. You know, you can't beat it.
Yeah, and one of the things that I wanted to talk about was just the fact that you're using hickory up there. Down south, I'm using pecan and post oak. Do you think that it's more of a regional thing, or like you said, you can get it really easy? Like I can get pecan really easily. You think that it's kind of, hey, it's really accessible, I'm just learning how to cook with it type thing?
I think so. I think it's kind of like the whole what pellet to use in your pellet grill. Like, unless you step off and get mesquite, you're not going to notice that drastic difference, because our end game is you're trying to make these pits run as clean as possible. Yeah. So you're kind of throwing that element out. Now, I do think you can pick up on some cherry. Cherry does put good color on stuff. I do love the way pecan smells, but at the end of the day, I'm more worried about a coal bed than I am the smoke coming from the pit. As long as I maintain a good coal bed, the pit's going to do the rest of the work for me, and it makes my life so much easier.
Yeah. Yep, that's true.
Our next question comes from Chance Vernon, and he asked, what is your funniest memory from any barbecue competition?
That's a tough one because we have a good time when we go to a contest every time. So I could go on for hours, but I'm gonna say this one, and the guy I'm fixing to talk about probably don't even know that this actually happened because he was asleep. So we're gonna roll with this one. So, like I said earlier, we went to Murfreesboro. We met my pit builder Jay Craig and his son Alec. They pulled their trailer down. We pulled them on and on, and they stayed in their trailer. We stayed in ours, and Jay was our night man for the hog. So he got up about every hour and a half, checked on it, threw a split on the fire, and he'd lay back down. So he got up at some time during the night, and his blanket got tied up around his foot for some reason. Like, I don't know if he was trying to get out of his recliner or what he done. But anyways, the blanket was hung on his foot. So he's like kicking. Well, he gets pissed off, and he just kicks hard as he could to get this blanket off. But when he does, his son's on the cot asleep beside him. He kicks his son, Alec, right between the eyes. And like I ain't talking about like barely kick him. I'm talking about like full on MMA kick him, like kick him hard. And he said Alec made a little bit of noise and just rolled over and didn't even wake up. Well, the next morning, Alec comes out of the trailer. He's like, man, he's like, I didn't even drink that much. My head is pounding this morning. And I'm like, you probably got a freaking concussion. Like, so we have a good time when we go to cook.
Oh, that is hilarious. Oh, my gosh. So you said that every hour and a half you're putting a stick on that outlaw. That thing must be running like a machine, bro.
That is cooking a hog. That is on one of the big pits. And, yes, every hour and a half she's running 300 degrees and never bats an eye.
I told my wife
she's a beast.
I'm going to get one. I'm going to get one for sure. I need a trailer.
Yeah.
Our trailer is so rinky-dink, but, man, we need a trailer.
Hey, it's winning. Don't change a thing. It is winning.
Yeah, and that's honestly how I feel right now. But I've told my wife, I'm like, dude, as soon as we can, we're getting an outlaw. And I can't wait because they're starting to kind of migrate down to Texas a little bit more. And just this past week,
we're coming to Texas and cook.
Our goal is to get an outlaw eventually. So right now, like you said, it's working out for us. So no point in really changing right now, but I can't wait. And hopefully, we've talked about it a little bit. Hopefully early next year I can get out there and hang out with you and you can show me how that outlaw runs and we can maybe do a hog cook or something. I really want to taste your brisket, dude, because we've talked a lot about brisket and I've seen pictures and you've taught me a lot about brisket. So I'm excited to taste that brisket. It's kind of hard to cook a comp brisket just like for fun though. So we would have to meet at a comp and do something.
No, it ain't.
I guess you're right. And you know what?
You say when.
Yeah. And you talked about that the other day too on the podcast, right? You're like, man, even if people were coming over, a comp brisket's going to kill a backyard brisket, right? I'm saying that right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And man, a year ago, I would have told you you're a liar. Now, I 100% agree. Whatever people think that sauce is trash, the lightest layer on top just gives it a little bit of that sweet, and then you get that bold and that beefy flavor, and you got that texture. It just cannot be beat, dude. It cannot be beat.
I was kind of upset because we didn't do as good a brisket as we normally did this past weekend, but I knew kind of what we did wrong, and I knew when I turned it in, I was like, it's good, but it's not our normal brisket. And I hate that because I really wanted to go to bat with brisket there, and because there was a ton of awesome brisket cooks, like brisket cooks there that I look up to. That's like, if I know I'm close to them, I had a good day. Yeah. And it's I enjoy cooking brisket. It's fun.
Yeah. And I think we always say that a lot is for people who have never tried a competition brisket, like you got to try it at least once because it's so much different than a backyard, but there's so much good about it. And people don't think it's going to be good because you're putting the sauce and the au jus, but it really is. We look forward to it the most every single time.
Yeah, I don't remember. Actually, the last time I cooked a regular brisket was for the Between the Buns contest. That's the last time I cooked it. But even my regular brisket is better now because I understand the anatomy of a brisket just a little bit more, right? Because I understand I'm rendering out water, liquids out of that. You don't want to wrap too soon. It's a lot of people say wrap it color. Man, I don't really agree anymore. You know what I mean?
No.
You gotta wrap when you are rendering that. You've rendered that fat, and you're not gonna wash all of your bark off in your wrap. And again, testament to you guys, man. You and Malcom put out a really badass video that just talks so much about brisket and the knowledge that's there, man. It's awesome. But let's move on to the last question of the day, and it comes from Eric Lee. I have a feeling that you know Eric Lee.
Oh, God.
I have a feeling that you know Eric Lee because I have no idea what this means, but it says, ask him why he didn't stand on Chigger Hill during KCBS Pork Awards. LOL. Great win for great guys. So I don't know what that means.
So I'm not superstitious when it comes to barbecue, but I'm very superstitious when it comes to barbecue. So last year we won that contest. We granted NBN at Praise Their Heart last year. We cooked as Team Outlaw or Band of Outlaws. And so I went back and we tried to get as close to the same spot where we sat in awards last year. And I pulled our chair up. We all sit down right there. And I was like, we're not moving from here. This is it. Well, Eric walks up and he's never going to sit down. He's always standing up. He's standing like on the curve, like in a flower bed. Like, I don't really know what he's standing in, but it's like he's standing in mulch and grass and stuff, you know? And I was like, man, Eric, I said, you're going to get chiggers up there. I said, come down here and sit with us, you know? And he's like, no, I'm fine. And then we start getting calls and he's like, why don't you come up here and stand by me, bring some of that good luck up here? I was like, dude, I'm not moving. Like, we've granted NBN. I want to do good in KCBS. I'm sitting right here, but I should have went up there and stood with him because I might have could have done a little better because he kicked our butt. But Eric's a good guy. We've cooked around him, and if y'all don't know who Fire Dancer Barbecue is and ever cook with him or cook beside him, he is a beast. He does these contests by himself, and he is a machine. Like, I love cooking beside him and just watching. And it's unreal, man. I don't know how he does it. And him and the other team that I'm real good friends with, Razorbacks, they're both from Arkansas. And man, if they show up, it's one of them guys, they show up to contests, they could win any one of them. And they're awesome cooks. And it's just one of them things, like, hey, they're machines when it comes to it. They're efficient.
They actually were at Danny Dietz. Fire Dancer was at Danny Dietz. I remember seeing him. He was hanging out with Bill or maybe Phil, Chicken Fried or LC. He was hanging out with one of them, or talking to one of them. Or maybe it was Reagan, La Pasadita. Man, I don't remember it. I remember because there were so many of those guys and we were all hanging out. I remember seeing him hanging out with somebody, and I was like, oh, man, there's Fire Dancer. And the reason I knew of him was because of that video he put out on Malcolm's channel maybe a couple of years back on his chicken thighs. And, I mean, it's always fun when you see people like that show up to a contest. I personally want to go, and I want to battle against the 99 best teams in the world. And if I get 100, I would rather that than, you know what I mean, go to a non-sanctioned and beat up on some little backyard guys. I want to go against the best. Like, that's me. I love that. That competition is really, really fun. And you get to see where you're stacked, but that's funny. Like I said, I didn't know that Eric Lee was Fire Dancer, but Chigger Hill, yep.
I think it's funny to talk about superstition. So
oh, man.
Our son, for our first GC over in Needville, he was asleep the entire awards ceremony, and we GC'd. This past weekend in Aransas Pass, he slept the entire thing, and we GC'd again. So now I'm like, he's got to sleep during awards.
So I would pack some Benadryl in y'all's cooking tote and just dose him up.
Yeah.
Like, make sure that happens.
And usually what happens,
melatonin gummy or something like that.
Usually what happens is one of the kids will ask to use the restroom, and we'll get maybe 1 or 2 calls. Anytime someone's asking to use the restroom, we're getting a call. But now that he's sleeping the entire time, we're winning the whole thing.
Yeah.
Or at least so it seems.
Yeah, I mean, the past 2 events, we've GC'd both of them, and he's been crashed out. Yep. So, yeah, we're going to have to, like, not let him sleep the night before or something.
Yep.
Just to make sure we got that.
So, my wife has never been at a contest and we granted.
Really?
Never.
Wow.
And anytime, like we've trying to figure out what the reason for it, because, like, she'll go to a contest and, like, we'll choke. Like, we'll get close. Like, we'll reserve or we'll do really good, but we've never granted. And she can miss one contest and we're going to grant. And so at Murfreesboro, I don't know. I can't explain it. But at Murfreesboro this weekend, she couldn't make it. And lo and behold, Alex congratulations to Alec Craig, by the way. He proposed, and she actually said yes for some dumb reason, but she come down. And Erica showed up, and I texted him. I was like, hey, Erica's here. We're probably going to win. And by golly, if we didn't win. So she was pretty mad about that.
Yep, superstitious, man. It's everywhere in barbecue for me, too.
It's hard not to feel that way.
It's hard not to feel that way. Like, I'm talking like, hey, I wore these shorts last time.
Yeah.
And this shirt and this hat.
Oh, yeah.
And
100%.
And we GC'd. So, and then it's like, you tell everybody, like, oh, I don't care about that. And it's like, well.
I wore the same now that I'm thinking about it, I wore the same exact outfit.
No, I know, but I tell people I don't care. But in reality, I'm like, yeah, I care. Like,
you do.
I am not mistakenly putting on the same exact clothes, you know? But
go look back at our photos, and Jay Craig will have camouflage cargo shorts on every time we win.
There you go.
Every time.
There you go. It's there. It's there, man. Well, we want to thank you for being on the podcast today, Mark. Man, it was a blast. I love talking barbecue with you. I love hearing how good things are going over at the How to Barbecue Right headquarters, and everything Swine Life is doing, has done, and will continue to do. Like I said, the plan is one of these days we got to meet up at a contest. We got to battle it out against each other. And then, of course, we got to just hang out in Mississippi again. We'll get on over to Hernando and eat some more of that. What is that place called again? Buoncio or
so? Boncebo.
Boncebo, that place. I loved that place.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why. We loved it. I think we went twice, right?
We might have, yeah.
Yeah, we went twice, like back-to-back days, because we were.
It's a good little spot.
I like that place, man. And then, of course, the Mexican restaurant we saw you at. It was just good vibes there, man. And we are looking forward to going back. You and I have talked about it. We're gonna make it happen for sure. But man, thank you for being on the podcast. Is there anybody that you want to shout out? Do you want to tell people where they can follow you?
Man, y'all just check us out on Facebook or anything like that. Y'all just got to look up Swine Life BBQ. And of course, if y'all are in the area, man, always stop by the shop. Ask for us. 99% of the time we're here. Come in. We'll be glad to come up here and talk. Shoot the bull. Ask any questions. We're an open book for the most part when it comes to cooking. And there's one or two things I'll never tell a soul, but most everything we're open about.
Yeah, there's definitely one thing I'll never tell a soul. You know what that is.
You better not. I'll cut the cord on this podcast.
Yeah, you'll be like, I'm done with you. I'm done with you, man. So, but thank you again, Mark, for being on the podcast. We really appreciate it. And if you guys want to, again, all his social media will be in the description. We'll also put it in there for Buck Junkies as well. If you guys like anything outdoors, I promise you, this is the channel for you.
Well, we appreciate it. Hey, congrats to y'all on y'all's GCs back to back. That is awesome. So y'all keep up the good work.
Appreciate it, Mark. We'll talk to you soon.
See you, man.
Thank you to Mark Williams from Swine Life BBQ for that interview. I thought it was amazing. I think he's a great guy. He's got a lot of information, and I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I mean, even just after we were done with the interview, we stood around and chatted for around 30 minutes, and he's just got great insight.
Yeah.
Very, very good dude. Gave us some really motivating information, and it's really cool to have people like that on your side, which I feel like he is. I feel like Mark's a great guy. I love what they're doing over there. We look at them as the model.
Right.
And we want to reach that on a small scale.
Yeah.
And I think we will. But again, thank you for Mark to being on the show. It was an incredible interview. We'll probably take a break from guests next week. Me and you will do a full one by ourselves, and then we'll roll back into getting some guests. So we do want to have guests on the show. If you guys have anyone that you want to see, drop it in the comments down below. But we also want to make sure that we're continuing to talk amongst each other. A little bit more conversation about how things are going, good, bad, ugly, whatever. We can get into some different stuff besides barbecue, maybe. I know it's all things, everything, but it's hard not to talk about barbecue. It's our lives, and we love it so much. So thank you again for listening to the interview. And if you guys want to reach out to Mark, again, all of his social media and stuff will be in the description. So make sure to reach out to him there.
And make sure to check out his seasonings. He's got some great products out there.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, we talked about it. Prime beef is
That's one to try.
It's definitely one to try. So what are our plans for this week? Do we have any competitions coming up? What are we going to be doing?
So, as far as I know, we have the week off from competitions. I don't think there's anything really around us.
American Royal. So, a lot of people are going to be at the American Royal. That's why there's not any huge competitions out. But that gives us a chance to reset and make some recipes.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And if there's any, I mean, the holidays are coming up.
Yeah.
So, if there's any barbecue-related holiday foods you guys want to see or have us try, let us know.
Yep.
We look forward to this time of the year every year. So
I cannot wait to blare Christmas music in this home.
Yeah.
I am so excited. I am so excited to blare Christmas music.
So our girls have already started learning their Christmas recital dances, and we're in the Christmas spirit already.
Oh yeah.
We've been repeating songs. Yeah. For the past week.
Yep. Well, again, thank you guys for listening to this podcast. Hopefully you're enjoying it. If you have any suggestions, drop them in the comments. Again, if you guys want to see any specific guests, drop them in the comments as well. We really appreciate you guys. We still haven't really figured out a great outro, huh?
Yeah.
Bye.
Peace out.
Later.